Welcome, welcome, Thea. The Thea. Welcome, Alex.
Indeed, Alex.
This is really special because we have been collaborating. I mean, I've been tattooing for a long time, for years, and Alex is a new tattooer, but learned really quickly, really well. And I'm really proud of you. And now we're collaborating. And Thea, you were open enough to be able to share yourself with Alex too, and for us to all create. And that is what the theme of our chit chat today is about, this collaborative tattooing experience and how it felt for you and for you, Alex, too, coming into this experience. And I just want to crack open the creative process to our listeners, and thank you both for being here. And being such amazing human beings on this planet.
Well, and thank you, Justine, because if you weren't out there, like, introducing folks to the idea of intuitive tattooing, like, that's how I found you. And then you found more people like Alex, which then exposed it. So it's just like you trusting that instinct to do, like, you know, to break away from normative tattooing practices or ideas, concepts. Just, it's an example of what happens when you follow your own rhythm, which I think is a big part of this collaboration, but also why we all feel attracted to the intuitive tattooing process.
Yeah.
So yay for you.
And yay for you. So you and I started this sleeve for you a few years ago.
Yeah.
And we started it with a really subtle brown, like henna-y tone. Pigment. And then you had an inspiration for something like the next level for it. Yeah. And so you were inspired to contact Alex. And we actually met, all three of us, and discussed a plan for this. But I'm curious, like, what inspired that for you to feel that you wanted two artists to create in this one piece together for you? And then, like, Alex, how did that feel coming into it?
Yeah, I think, so you were with me before some spiritual initiations that were coming. Like, I was like mid that, and I was about to get into another one that was bigger than I could have imagined. And that initial choice to go with something that looked like it could be coming from under my skin, like it could be like naturally there, like a birthmark almost, was like basically thinking about like dipping your toe in the ocean. Like, you know, it's the ocean, and yeah, it's your toe, but it's your toe in the ocean, which is different than your toe in a puddle or your toe in a lake or your toe in a pool, right? It's the ocean. So you know you're going into something big, but you're consciously doing so gently. I remember being gentle was a big part of what we were trying to accomplish in that initial design. And then as we've decided, we're going to be like old doing this together. So, you know, we let time lapse in between, and like more lessons and more life kind of to inform the next iteration of it, the next layer of what it's going to be. And duality, I can't escape it. I cannot escape duality if I wanted to. Like, it comes up so constantly in my life, personal, professional, spiritual. The ability to navigate more than one thing, the ability to see two things that look like opposites and see where they are actually partners, or they actually co-relate or coexist. Like, that is like my life. And so I saw you post a few of Alex's designs, and then when I saw it, I saw how it worked with yours. I was like, I don't know how this is supposed to go, but I need to see these two ideas, this like very flowy, very like, and I think also because of the flowiness of some of your designs, this like hidden raw power that it's in there, because people think that like flowy and soft things and can't be like fierce, but I always see your designs as very fierce, mixed with this like interesting geometric reality, right? Like this is life. Life has sharp lines and things that make sense and are geometrical, and has things that make no sense, and that always is coexisting at the same time. And I could see that relationship as soon as I saw Alex's work and you posting it. And then I was like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't even know if tattoo artists like working together. I'm just going to ask and see if they can see that or if they want to try it. And the key thing about this whole thing is we're all open to, we don't know how this is going to turn. We have no idea if we're going to love it, if we're going to hate it. We don't know at the time. But even that level of vulnerability, stepping into that with you all, is like each time it's like shedding a skin, right? So, but I did rope Alex in. And so, Alex, how did you feel about being roped in?
I was thrilled to be roped into this. I think from the initial conversation and everything you just said, because it's kind of what we talked about in our initial conversation, was, yeah, the whole duality and like how Justine and my styles have this weird, Venn diagram overlap where we're like, they're very different, but they somehow, kind of blend together really well. And so I was super excited. I think I feel really lucky to have gone on this journey with like both of you. Like you were saying, you have like everyone involved has to be so open and like willing to just trust the process and just like kind of see where it goes and go with the flow and not be afraid of that and just really kind of release to that. Mm-hmm. So that alone, I felt going into your session, Thea, very like, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't like, I was just excited because I knew after our conversation, I knew the kind of vibe we were going into and the environment and everything. And we were on the same page about stuff and we were both ready to play and everything. Yeah. And I hadn't seen the piece, so it was fun to come in and like see what Justine had initially done. And it's so funny because I was looking at the pictures that I took recently, actually. And we had talked about this after we did it too, was like, it felt so like it was already there. Yeah. Like we finished it and it was almost kind of hard to pick. I'm like, wait, which part did I do? Because it blended so nicely. Yeah. So yeah, it was just a great, and the collaborative aspect of it with Justine's work, like I feel like, I mean, I don't know how other artists feel. Like I can imagine perhaps there's a certain, with styles, you don't want like styles competing. You don't want, but it was really cool to see. I feel like the stuff I added kind of like elevated the stuff that Justine already had, and Justine's, I was able to like incorporate what I did because of what Justine had done, Yeah. And it was kind of cool to like, so often you go into a blank canvas, and I wasn't going into a blank canvas, which is so exactly, you got to find the blank, you got to find what works with it and everything. And so that in itself was like, doing stuff like that, I think makes it just such a more fun and different experience than like kind of your regular tattooing when it's just you and the body. Now it's you and the body and something else, and it's just really exciting, I think. So
yeah, it was super exciting. And we went with a different color for you.
Yes.
So that was another intentional choice. We didn't go black, but we still went with a different, like a dark purple.
Yeah, darker purple, which also I remember I loved the color choice because it's a very subtle color. Like you almost can't really tell it's like purple until you like really look at it and you're like, oh, it's like this nice little subtle thing in there. Yeah. Something that you just said when you went into the tattoo, that you were finding the blank spaces. I think about that in relationship to like what we experience in our lives as we're moving through creating experiences. And I think about the work you do, Thea, in joy and grief, in that there is room, or there is, I mean, you'll be able to articulate this because you're the word creatrix, and And I think there is something in there that is so profound that we get to feel into the blank spaces in our lives.
Yeah.
And find what else we want to create within that will fit into, or we would never have been able to create those things if the things we had experienced had never existed, or
they weren't there.
We experienced had never existed, or
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You need all of it. You need what pre-existed, you need the current, and you need what could the possibility of what could exist. And I was really excited after Alex's work to come back to Justine and be like, oh, what's Justine got to do? It feels like a call and response, which is very much like jazz. You know, there's this line, I have to find it. It's from this TV show. I go back to this all the time. It was one of my favorite episodes. This show on HBO was called The Man Who Fell to Earth, I think it was called. And he talked about, he was an alien and he was trying to learn like what it meant to be human. And it was, but at the same time, he had this big mission anyway. And so there was this part where she says, we just taught a computer jazz. Now let's see if it can play. They were trying to figure out, to me, it's like if you watch this episode, it's like episode 6, I think. It's the epitome of what we were going for. I remember hearing that and watching that episode where they're trying to crack how to get this computer to do this sequencing thing it needs. But everything they're trying to do is very logical, very straight lines, very geometrical. And they need that piece, but they can't figure out what they're missing because the other part that they're missing is not that. It's not geometrical. It's actually play, flow, improvisation, and jazz. And that's the key that he realizes is what makes humans humans, the ability to improv, to deviate from just instinct or just certain things, the ability to create its own thing. And so I remember watching that and pausing it and writing down that the point of life is to create jazz with God as God. Like realize that you are, if you were to think about some big energy, whether it's the universe or the ocean, but you yourself are ocean, learning to co-create and go back and forth and vibe with ocean. So that's what I felt with you all. Like, it was like, I want to create jazz. I want to go to Justine and she's going to be like, bop, 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 bop. And then I'm going to go to Alex and she's going to be like, do. And then I'm going to be like, oh, wait, and then what is Justine going to do with it? And I can just see myself bobbing back and forth, like just grooving because like, ooh, look what I get, like, we get jazz like on my arm. If we could make jazz visual, it's that exercise. And the blank spaces are so important, but also I'm gonna tell you some of my favorite parts of this whole piece are the places where you guys intersected or like you crossed over each other. Like, I think that was really important too, because I think I remember both of you all at different times saying, is it okay if I go in this, like if I can go into Justine's world a little bit and do a little this, and is it okay if I go into Alex's world? Do you mind if I, and you both did that. You both ended up overlapping or like making conscious choices about where to like dabble. And to me, that broke down the idea of a boundary or a border between these pieces. And I think that's actually going to continue to happen. Like, you see less border and less distinction and more like you were saying, like, we're always here. And I'm curious, Justine, how you felt when I came back after Alex, because you did the original one, and then you got to see Alex's response, and then I'm curious what you felt.
Yeah, it was really cool because it was like we were creating a song together. Like, it really felt like that Alex, you had found a way to fit your style into mine, and then I got to fit my style into yours, and so we were making this new creation together song, essentially. So cool when you put it like in that style, right?
That's what it is. And we're not done. Like, we're still singing. We're still making music around here. But it is very similar to the joy and grief work, right? Because I think these are two entities that coexist very deeply, but people don't like to cross them. They don't like to mix them.
speak really quickly or as long as you want about, but just to plug this in here, what you do with joy and grief. So there's some context to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my focus of my work. I used to work in mental health for about a little over 10 years and left like 4 years ago because I could see the writing on the wall, which was that the same problem-centered, problem-focused data points lead us to the same outcomes. And I'm not wrong, because if you look at statistics on mental health, they have gotten worse, right? If that data, like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you sleeping? Why, if these data points were going to change and elevate and heal particularly the American psyche, it would have done so. But it doesn't, because I believe they're missing really valuable data points, which are joy data points. And what that looks like for me and my company is joy is not just like about happiness or bubble baths. I actually despise that. Joy for us is every living thing's innate birthright to choose at any and every moment what brings them the maximum experience of aliveness that they desire. For us, access to joy, being able to have a metric for your joy is a metric or a measurement or a unit of measurement for aliveness. And aliveness is not the same thing as breathing or your heart beating. It's like your ability to access the full range of your humanity, the full range of your emotions, the full range of your experiences. That's how we measure aliveness. So joy is a metric of this. How alive, how activated, how connected are you to yourself, to your world, to the purpose that you're here to serve? And so for us, it's very annoying when we see it like really like put in this kind of like, self-care package. It's not, to us, it's very revolutionary, and it's aligned with liberation. And so, especially self-liberation, that could be societal, that could be systemic, but that could also be familial, that could be relational. Like sometimes we have a hard time differentiating our desires from the person that we love. And there's just all these little small opportunities for liberation. What I learned in doing that work is so many things. I could go on forever about what I've learned so far. But one of them is that the surface joy is the one people go to because the true joy requires change. And change triggers the reality that there could be some conflict, and conflict makes you think that there could be some loss, and loss triggers grief. So one of the big barriers to fully accessing joy and aliveness is what we call anticipatory grief. I'm anticipating the grieving. Even if it's not consciously, I'm anticipating when I set this boundary with this person, or when I say I hate this job, or I want to do this thing, or I want to go to this place, and my mom doesn't like it, or my partner doesn't like it, or my kid doesn't like it, that they're going to be in conflict with me and I could lose them. And that's grief. You haven't even done the joy thing. Just the thought of doing the joy thing is making you anticipate the grief. So there was no way to not start to do work around grief with the joy. And so I partnered with a good friend of mine, Akila S. Richards, who that's her specialty. And we were kind of like this. We were like revolving around each other for a minute. Like, I see you over there. I see you over there. And then we started talking a little bit more. We could feel it coming like this. And finally we were like, now. And so we do work to show people that these two things are in relationship with each other all the time. And that the better you get at joy centering and grief tending, the more alive you are able to be without fear and without, or, a little fear. A little fear is good, but, without like fear making your decisions for you. I think that's also why I can go into this experience with you all and not be afraid of the outcome. For me, I'm so engaged in the process of it, and me not knowing and you not knowing how this is going to turn out at the end of the day is reality. Who knows? Whoever knows how things are going to turn out at the end of the day. We think we know, but we don't actually. So this moment with you, where I get to work with you all, I get to sit in the truth of that I don't know. And I never know. And I get to sit in that and be calm and breathe and feel at peace, because that's the true state of the world. And that's the true state of life. But here I get to practice it in an embodied way with you all. And that's what I'm hoping people listening understand. When they come to you all, it's far beyond the design. It's an opportunity to step so deeply into the present that you live by the actual truths of the laws of nature, which is that everything ends. We have some control over things, but not to the extent that we think we do. And that we have to be able to flow with whatever comes our way and be adaptable and see it and also give it time to heal, right? And then know when to circle back and add more. And we had an interesting experience, Justine and I, because we had a whole plan. We were going to do, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do next because you'll have to see that when we do it. But we had we have another phase to this. And we thought we were just going to go all the way. Didn't we? We were like, we're going to do it today. We were going to go. But then we saw this and we both instinctively knew, oh no, we got to stop here because it'll never look this way again. If we take the next step, we will never see it like this again. And this is its own experience. So we were like, let's live this a little. And then we can go back, just like we lived the red. And now we're living this. And then we'll live the next one. And that joy grief work helps you to slow down and savor things like that. Instead of like what capitalism teaches us, which is to push through, keep going. You're tired, your arm hurts, it's numb, your wrist probably hurts, your hands hurt, and we're just gonna push through to get the peace. What? Still won't be done. Could still be it still won't be done, even if you push through that, because nothing's ever done. When it's done, it's dead. So as long as it's alive, it's not done. And I think this process with you, I really hope people can come into it with that consciousness, because it's such a rich, embodied experience of what that really means. I'll take a breath now.
Yeah. It's that thank you for articulating it. That's something that that my deepest hope in the experience that I offer with this process is that people get to practice speaking, listening to their own intuition. Mm-hmm. That's really the intuitive part, right? And then to be able to collaboratively discuss that and then make a choice and see what that looks like, and then check in again and let that questioning and the uncomfortable moments of, is this what I want? That is the most beautiful part, is witnessing that inner questioning and trusting that I can make this choice and I can voice that. We facilitate a space that's safe where you can speak up. And that's my goal in every session. Why I eat a tattoo, right? Is to help facilitate an opportunity to listen and to speak up about what you're hearing, to say what you're hearing, your intuition say, your gut say, a little quiet whisper of what's right for you in this moment. And that is okay. And if we need to clean this all off and wipe this all away, that's okay too.
That's okay too.
That's part of the process. Or if we need to take off half of it to expand, we needed to get to that point in the experience to see the next phase.
100%.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. Alex, do you feel that too when you're working?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of this too, it's interesting, this whole discussion, we're talking about the intuitive tattoo experience, which is such a unique collaborative experience. But I think it also applies to, more traditional tattooing as well. I think there's like such an interesting, like within the world of tattooing generally, like I've talked to people who have no tattoos, and like it's such this like common thing of like, well, what if I regret it, it's permanent, and this kind of discussion behind like not every piece needs to have some obvious meaning to anyone else. It doesn't even really have to have like some obvious meaning to you, right? It's a representation of you in this moment, and like I have tattoos that like I wouldn't necessarily get now, but I don't regret them because they're a representation of who I was at the time that I got them. And I think with all of that, with it, just the intuitive experience heightens all of that, right? Because you're doing it in the moment right there. But I think the collaboration and everything is there regardless of what kind of or it should be there, regardless of what kind of tattoo you're getting or anything like that. And I think that's a big thing too, is this intuitive practice is so special. And like the experience of it though is something that, I mean, I think every tattoo artist should be providing for all of their clients, regardless of the type of tattoo, you know? Every tattoo is a collaborative experience. Every tattoo, every stencil can be erased and resized and redesigned and like all of this. And that trust should be there no matter what you're doing. And the other thing too that I think is really interesting is you guys were talking about this whole collaborative experience of me and Justine's work, but like Thea too, you know, like it's on your body, but the work itself is also such a representation of you and our conversation. And like, I just think that's such a cool, it's not just two artists. I think it's three artists who are collaborating. Oh, yes. You know what I mean? Yes. Yes. So I think, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just something you said made me think about consent. Like, I love to talk about consent. I've always loved to talk about consent, but not from the perspective of preventing harm, but from the perspective of increasing pleasure. Like that when we enjoy that inquiry of that inner questioning, and then we feel not just empowered, but just safe. You don't even have to feel powerful. If you feel safe enough to say the inner question out loud, and it's met with, sure, like whatever you want, there's a consensual practice there that like really just, I don't want to use the word empower because we think of that so harshly with that, or so fixed. Nurtures. I find it nourishing. I find it nourishing to be in a space where it's like, yeah, that's why they put erasers on pencils. Take it off, experiment, explore. And with you, I have been with you all an hour plus just doing that part of it. But I think it's a way I want people to engage all their relationships. And if you're not having that in your relationships, reconsider. And that's where the joy grief work comes in, right? Like I want that to be present in all my relationships. So when I get to have that experience with you all, it reminds me that this is a standard for my life and my relationships. And then if I'm not having that, I have to do the hard work of using a joy metric to assess where and why, and then doing the grief tending necessary to let that go or change or whatever it may be. But there is a beautiful approach to consent and strengthening people's connection to their ability to consent. I think about that now in this moment with all the things that are happening and that we're witnessing. It's like, what are the things people don't have to relinquish now? What are the things people can say, I don't consent to this? For example, you know, I don't have to speak to you. I don't have to look at you. I don't have to engage you in any capacity. I don't have to acknowledge what you think of as authority. I hold consent in all scenarios, you know, and I love the idea that something like wouldn't think of on this level of spirituality and also social healing, the healing power of an intuitive tattoo practice, or just a simple collaborative, or like a healthy consensual collaborative practice, may help people who don't understand tattooing understand some of the appeal for those of us who are, what we need to heal is not about words. You know, it's not about that. I can't wait to do more work with you all.
No, there's more to come.
There's more to come.
How can people experience more of your work? And I know you have something very huge and special coming up. Would you share that with me?
Yeah, great stuff. So my name is my website. That's the easiest place to find me, and on there is a free access to a joy assessment that you can, it has some things you should read so that you can not take it to like test yourself on your joy. We don't test your joy. It's more an invitation of that inner questioning, or like questioning between people. And it's a free assessment that's available on the site. So I invite you to step into that. through the website, there's also a newsletter that I send out like a couple of times a month to just offer like tips and strategies, but also just stories and narratives about, I think people think of joy as a little inaccessible sometimes. They think of it as an accessory or a luxury that they can't have. And so I really try to change that. It's very accessible, and it's very important that everybody knows they can and they should be able to. And in LA, if you're in LA, I have an actual event. So typically I take people overseas quite a bit, like to Egypt, and do this entire like hold a sacred event, which is really beautiful. And I still do that as well. But I wanted to create things more localized. And so I'm traveling to a few different US cities, starting off in my home city, and doing like these joy immersions. So it's not immersion. Immersion is the process of going in. Immersion is the process of coming out. And so we're looking at, I'm kind of over all the thinking and the overdoing. And I'm like, how can we bring the joy to the surface to meet us there? And so we're looking at joy immersion, and we've partnered with Greenstone Family Farm and Sanctuary, which, I mean, this is a place that they do so many rituals and so many beautiful life and death, you know, joy and grief work there. They were the perfect place. We have meals that we're going to have. So for me, it feels like I get to create what you create, for what you all create for us, for people. I get to say, step into my heart, step into my world for a day. We're going to be exploring joy-centered loving, because one of the biggest joy barriers I come into contact with is relationships. It's the first thing you think about when you think about what you desire, what you want, is how will it affect other people. And if that's not what we just described, and you don't feel like you can have those open conversations, it becomes a huge barrier in love and in joy. And so we're going to, in this very beautiful, gentle, but firm and effective way, tease out some of that together in a small group. It's going to be less, it's like 20 people or less, I believe. And I love it. I'm super excited to do it. I'm already planning goodies. I have to stop myself from like spoiling people rotten. It's a mess. But here's my goal. My goal is to love you so fiercely in that day that you leave there like, if you don't love me as well as Thea Monyee loves me, then you got to go. And I've been told by people who've come on the retreat, they're like, you know what? I'd be like, Thea loved me better than this. You got to go. And I'd be like, that's right. I am the standard. I'm the gold standard. You got to go past me. And I love that. I love to like pour in that way and like, yeah, let's change it up a bit here, you know? So that is happening February 28th. And also through the website, they'll be able to access that and sign up. And I encourage you to do so. There's like, for people who they may be thinking about money, there's payment plans available. Anything that makes it more accessible, email me and I'm happy to talk about it.
Amazing. Thank you for doing that in the world.
I'm so excited to do it. It's my pleasure.
Wow. And Alex, is there anything else that you're feeling you want to say, or would you like to share how people can get in touch with you for a very meaningful, beautiful time?
I feel like I have to show them your work next. I think this is one of my favorite of you guys together. See if you can see it there. So this is you, Alex.
Yeah.
And then this is Justine. That's so cool. And see how I see him and the like you all just played right around each other like like two kids in a playground. I love it so much. So much. There's so many little examples of that. Those are my favorite parts, where I see you all dancing.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was thinking about the while you're talking about the whole love and grief thing. It's very similar to like the emotional like arc of a tattoo, you know, because you're like so excited at the beginning, and then there's this really uncomfortable middle part, you know, and then you have this incredible thing at the end. And you were talking about the like, it just made me think about how like finding that deeper joy that you're talking about can be a very uncomfortable process.
100%.
And people are, you know, we're so trained to be comfortable. Like we want comfort, we want ease, we want convenience, we want all that stuff. And it can often provide such a surface level satisfaction for a little bit, right? But getting into that deeper joy, and confronting grief and all of that is such an uncomfortable process. And I think it's so important. And we're so like, you have to, I think each person has to like very consciously decide to be uncomfortable. And like the T, you got to trust the process to come out on the other side of this really beautiful thing. So I was just thinking about that parallel with like an actual tattooing session. And I was like, that's so cool.
And think about it with the tattooing. Yes. And then you got to deal with the healing process.
Right.
Okay, so you have to like refrain from certain things or watch certain things. And then it itches. And so it's like, it's not a one time either. It'll happen in degrees in different ways over a period of time. And I think one of the reasons I started taking on one-on-one clients, which I do now again, I do like joy sessions, is because I don't know that you can do it alone. I have not seen it successfully done alone. Even when I think about how lonely the path was for me when I was starting it and starting this joy work for myself, I didn't have anybody else who had the language that I had, but I had people I could call or reach out to who could comfort me or who could take care of me at certain points. Like that's there's vulnerability that's in those uncomfortable moments. I think that's part of what makes them uncomfortable is either you have to be alone with yourself or you have to ask for help. Two things that people have a really difficult time doing. So I think you're that's so true. And it's why I tell people all the time, you would think, if I say, oh, I work with joy, everybody's like, oh, I can't wait to work with you. I intuitively in their gut, I think they're like, that heifer means business and we about to do a different kind of work. And I don't want to do all that. Fair. But that's where the good stuff is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's deep. Your questions are profound.
Remember that you actually, when you were tattooing me, I remember, and we were doing my joy assessment. And I was like, I'm just going to ask you these questions. And you're like, okay, sure. And they're tattooing me. And I'm like, and you're like, these questions. Like they seem really simple on the surface and they are, but what they evoke is pretty significant.
Very. Alex, have you done it?
No, I haven't.
I'm sending it to you right after this. After this point, I'm going to send you the assessment.
Yes. What's the number one question?
That's a good question.
Because you asked me one question and it was like, and I think
the one, so
like
if I'm asking
me out
them
of my chair.
I think if I'm asking them in order, the one that stops everybody is I have been asked about my joy blank amount of times in the last 30 days. That's when you see the sobering reality come over people like, nobody asked me about my joy. And I also haven't asked anybody. That's when it hits you that it's like cultural. And then I think I would say the next one is sometimes I catch myself muting my joy when. Like think about like you're in a good mood, you got good news, you're about to call, and then you're like, I don't think I should call this person with this information, or like you're getting ready to go into a place and you're like, or your phone rings. There's little things and you know what you do? You dial it down. Yeah. Because the joy is never gone. It's like a volume meter, like on an old radio, like you could turn it up or you could turn it down. I think we turn it down when we feel a threat to it, when we feel like people can intuit people are going to be happy for us or they don't want us. They're going to feel a kind of way about it. So we turn it down. And that's important data. Yeah. Do you want to be around people you got to turn your joy down around? Or do you want to be people who going to be like, girl, turn it up. Let's go. Right? So that one is like, because you realize you do it. And you don't think about the fact that you do it until you realize, until you're asked the question. This is what's important about questioning and the kinds of questions we ask. This is why I left mental health. Because the kind of questions we ask are to create data that supports funding, but it doesn't promote real, true information that can customize and curate and change people's experiences. It just gives us enough information to continue to file an insurance claim. I know, I said it. out loud.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're fine.
It's so true, though. It's so dumb. I mean, the whole, like, yeah, just capitalism.
Capitalism. This is our way of fighting back.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. I think that, like, yeah, talking about vulnerability in every sense of, like, getting a tattoo is an incredibly vulnerable thing to do. You're doing something really crazy with, like, crazy intimate with another person, you know, and like I think that anyone, I understand the trepidation of getting a tattoo, you know, and doing any sort of scary kind of vulnerable new thing is like, I think it is a lot to ask people when you've been trained by society to think and feel and expect certain things, you know. So that's why it's so important.
Makes me so badass. That's why
I know.
So badass.
So true. So true.
I noticed that with sometimes I'll design something large or elaborate or something on someone's skin, and I can see them get excited and then I can see them turn it down. And I wonder if it sometimes is when they start to think about, oh my gosh, my husband's see this, say this, or my family, or it's too much, but for who?
But for who?
Yeah.
Right.
But for, yes.
And
that's exactly what's happening. That has they've left their own joy, and they're starting to think about potential anticipatory grief again. Who's not going to like this? Who's going to... And the thing about things like hair and tattoo are things like you can't hide them. I remember when I shaved my head, I was like, oh shit, I can't hide my face. Like my hair is, there's nothing. I couldn't disguise myself anymore. And there's something about being visible all the time when it comes to those kind of big pieces. You have to mature into them, and you have to stand firm in yourself to wear them. You have to. Sometimes you get them before you're ready to do that, but that's okay, because you can get there. You have no choice now. It's on you. You know,
it's the bridge to stepping into that new version of yourself.
Yes. And sometimes you do got to do that to make sure you don't chicken out, you know, like, like I'm doing this to hold myself to that. And it works.
Yeah. I feel like also in talking about expressing your joy and like showing your joy, by getting tattoos, like you said, you can't really hide. I mean, unless they're in a certain spot, right? But if you're getting tattoos, what a beautiful way to so adamantly show and express your joy to the world. Yeah. You know? And that's also part of why it makes people uncomfortable. You know, they're not used to it.
Because people are uncomfortable around free people. If you are conforming and you have built your life around it, you followed these rules, you've done these things. When you see somebody not doing that, you feel a kind of
yes.
And I mean, that's your problem. That's your business. That's your life. But I love to see somebody living out loud. I be like, I gotta step it up. I gotta go harder. You know what I mean? Because it's it's exhilarating. Like to me, what drives my joy work, the way you were talking about that moment for you, Justine, that listening and that, for me, it's like what I can see. I'm like, there they are. I can see them. I can see like the raw, wild version of them. And sometimes raw, wild is like a peacock or a beautiful, but sometimes it's like raw and wild just means unfiltered, like unbothered. Like, this is what I came here to be. This is the material. And when I see that, you know, it's a purely selfish drive. I don't want people to think I do this joy work because I'm kumbaya. I'm selfish. I like seeing it. It turns me on. I get excited and I want to see it as much as possible. It's about me. Want to leave? I love it. I'm addicted to it. And every time I see it, I'm like, yes, more. And then there's like another person going out in the world, like unapologetically. And then 7 people are going to witness that person, and 7 people are going to witness that person. And to me, that's just how you create the ripples.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah.
So cool.
Don't you love what we're doing? Where is this so fun?
Joy to the world.
This is exciting. But also, like, it's such a way of fighting back. Like, I love... every time I'm like thinking, should I do more? What should I do? I'm like, nah, just keep cracking them open one at a time. Just, you are doing the good work in your way.
That's cool.
powerful, beautiful, inspiring. Thank you. Thank you both. For being on this journey and sharing it.
Thank you for kicking it off.
Yeah, thank you, Justine, for like I feel like you were the common denominator between all of this, and like
for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to look for. I was like, I was lost. I didn't know where my last, sometimes tattoo artists are hard to keep track of. Then you all are pretty stable, but honestly, I'm like, where'd you go? Like, and then I was like, I had already seen you, Justine, and I had put a pin in I was like, okay, I'm going to circle back around. Because you were the first woman to tattoo me. And I was like, I'm going to circle back around. And then when my last one like dropped out of thin air, I was like, it's time.
Time.
It's time.
Perfect. Divine timing.
Full feminine arm working out over here. All clean energy.
It's going to be exciting to see how the next phase
flows. I know.
So cool. Alex, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you for a session?
Best ways to go to my website, which is alexandrahusmann.com, or Instagram. There's a link there as well. But yeah, both are good spots. Great spots to find.
Great. Do that.
Yeah.
Collaborate with us.
Yeah. My Instagram is Alex H Tattoos, but everything's kind of connected. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. But Thea, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
My website, www.theamonyee.com. So I recommend trying the joy assessment, signing up for the newsletter. I'm also on Substack, and IG. Everything's under my name, so you'll find me.
Perfect.
Yay, I'm glad we did this.
Thank you.
There's more.
Yeah.
Keep you updated with how we keep going. We progress.
Yeah. So amazing to collaborate and create with you both.
You too. This has been so cool.
But
More soon.
Cool.